There was a village hidden deep within the African jungle, a place untouched by time, surrounded by towering trees and whispering winds. It was called Nkoyo, a name passed down for generations. To the outside world, Nkoyo was a land of wealth, a paradise where money grew like fruit from enchanted trees. Gold coins dangled from branches, crisp banknotes rustled in the breeze, and villagers plucked riches each morning as easily as harvesting yams from the earth. But behind the wealth, behind the endless prosperity, lay a terrible secret. No one spoke of it, not to visitors, not to traders, not even to their own children. It was a secret known only to those old enough to understand. Once every year, under the glow of the full moon, the secretary at the center of Nkoyo would whisper a name, the name of a family that had been chosen. That family would dress their child in fine clothes, with gold into their hair, and, while the village slept, the parents would take the child to the tree. And the tree would take the child away, no screams. No struggle. Just silence. It was the price of never-ending wealth. A payment to whatever force had blessed Nkoyo with its golden growth. The villagers accepted this fate because, in return, the trees never stopped growing. The wealth never faded. They never had to suffer, no one knew how it started. The elders told tales of a great blessing from the gods, but skeptics whispered that it was a curse disguised as fortune. Nkoyo became famous. Traders from distant lands traveled for months to see the legendary money trees. Some tried to take the seeds home, but no matter how hard they tried, the trees only grew in Nkoyo. Markets overflowed with goods from distant lands, jewels from the north, spices from the east, and fabrics woven in gold. Traders came from across the continent, eager to exchange exotic treasures from Nkoyo's limitless money, yet none could understand why. These trees grew only here. Homes were built large and strong, adorned with elaborate carvings and vibrant colors. Children played in courtyards decorated with silver and bronze, their laughter echoing through the streets. One day, during the season of Harmattan, an old traveler arrived in Nkoyo. His skin was dark as the forest, his robe tattered from years of wandering. Unlike other visitors who marveled at the golden trees, he did not reach for the leaves. He only watched. "Your trees whisper when the wind does not blow," he said. "I have heard voices in the night." The villagers stiffened. They knew what he had heard. "You must be careful," the stranger warned. "When wealth is given without effort, it comes with a price." The elders exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing. The secret was not his to know. And so, the stranger left. And the tree chose again. That year, the name whispered in the night belonged to Abeni's family. She was a mother of 4, widowed, her youngest child barely 7 years old. When the tree spoke their name, she was meant to obey. She was meant to take her child, dress him finely, and deliver him beneath the glowing branches. But she could not. She had lost too much already. She thought of hiding her child and placing a goat in his place beneath the sacred tree. The night was thick with fear. Abeni held her breath as she hid her son, Temu, inside the big aluminum pot. In her room, she had lined it with soft cloth, making sure he would not be uncomfortable. "Stay here," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Do not make a sound." Temu nodded, his small eyes filled with fear. She covered the pot, leaving only a tiny gap so he could breathe. She stepped outside, clutching the black goat she had chosen as a replacement. The sacred tree loomed ahead, its golden branches glowing faintly in the darkness. The moon was high, watching like an unblinking eye. She dressed it in beads, the same ceremonial ornaments meant for her child. She took a deep breath and walked to the sacred tree. She begged the spirits. "Take this offering instead," she whispered. "Spare my son. Take this life in his place." The tree stood silent. Abeni's heart raced. Had it accepted? Had she fooled the spirits? Then, suddenly, the goat vanished. Abeni gasped, stepping back in shock. One moment, the animal was there. The next, it was gone, as if something had swallowed it whole. Her chest filled with relief. It worked, she thought. She turned quickly, stepping away from the grove, ready to run home. But the tree did not forgive deception. Then, the tree began to cry. A deep, sorrowful sound filled the air, a wailing that did not belong to any human or animal. Golden sap spilled from the tree's bark, dripping to the ground like thick tears. Then, the sky opened up. Rain poured down, heavy and sudden, soaking the dry earth. It was harmattan season, this should not be happening. The villagers woke to the strange storm, stepping out of their huts in confusion. Ebony ran home, her feet splashing against the wet ground. She slammed the door shut, pressing herself against it, shivering from both the cold and fear. Her children huddled together, eyes wide. "Mama, why is it raining?" Her eldest daughter, Ife, asked. "Go to bed," Ebony whispered. She did not sleep that night, and the sacred tree did not stop crying. The next day, Ebony forced herself to smile. She woke up early, cooking delicious meals: roasted yam, spiced goat meat, thick soup. The smell of food filled the hut, and she laughed as she set plates before her children. "Eat, my loves," she said, her voice too bright. Her children ate, but they watched her carefully. They knew something was wrong. Before she let them go outside, she pulled them close. "Never speak your brother's name," she warned. "Never tell anyone he is alive." The children nodded, fear in their eyes. Deep inside the aluminum pot, Temi remained hidden. His tiny body curled in the darkness, his breath slow and quiet. Ebony had saved him. But she had angered the spirits. From that day on, Ebony began hearing whispers, soft, cold voices crawled through her mind, calling around her thoughts. "Give me the child." At first, she only heard it at night. But soon, she heard it everywhere, while cooking, while washing, and while fetching water. "Give me the child." She clutched her head, pressing her fingers against her temples, trying to block out the sound. She cooked extravagant meals, filled her hut with laughter, told stories to distract herself. But the whispers never stopped. "Give me the child." The whispers would not stop. "Give me the child." The voice followed Ebony everywhere, in the marketplace, by the river, even in her sleep. It was as if cold fingers wrapped around her mind, squeezing her thoughts. Ebony was losing herself. She forgot how to laugh. She forgot how to live. All she could hear was that terrible voice. "Give me the child." She started making plans to run away. One cold morning, before the sun had fully risen, Ebony placed a sack bag on her head and held her children. She dressed in dark clothes, and as they walked outside, her heart pounded. She moved quietly, slipping through the narrow paths between the huts. The village was still asleep. "I will leave this place," she thought. "I will take my children far away." Then, a terrible sound filled the air. The sacred tree began to shout. It was not a whisper this time. It was a roar, a loud, deep voice that shook the ground. "She has betrayed the spirits." The voice echoed across the village. "She sacrificed a goat instead of her son." The noise awakened the villagers. Doors swung open. Feet rushed out. Soon, everyone stood in the square, watching Ebony. Her secret was exposed. Ebony froze. She felt hundreds of eyes on her. Gasps. Whispers. And then, anger. The sacred tree glowed. Golden leaves shook violently. A deep, rumbling energy filled the air. The voice returned. "For your disobedience, I will take all your children." Ebony collapsed to her knees. "No," she cried. "Please, not my children." Her voice cracked with desperation. She pressed her palms together, begging, "Take me. Take my life instead." But the spirits did not listen. The tree began to shake. Ebony screamed. She crawled forward, holding the tree's trunk, pressing her forehead against the bark, crying, "Please, Please, I will do anything. But her pleas fell on deaf ears. The tree shimmered, its golden leaves glowing brighter and brighter. And then, her children began to disappear, one by one. Her eldest daughter, Ife, vanished. Her second child, Obi, vanished. Her smallest girl, Ngozi, vanished. And then, Temiu, Abeni screamed. She tore at the earth, digging at nothing, searching for her children. She grabbed at the air, trying to pull them back. But there was nothing. The village stood in horrified silence. Abeni wailed. She wailed so loudly that even the animals in the forest went quiet. The spirits had punished her. Her children were gone. The sacred tree stood tall, golden leaves swaying peacefully. The spirits were satisfied. Days passed. Abeni did not eat. She did not speak. She wandered the village like a ghost, her eyes empty, her body weak. She sat beneath the sacred tree, rocking back and forth, whispering her children's names. Ife, Obi, Ngozi, Temiu, but they were never coming back. The villagers avoided her. They feared her pain, feared the spirits, feared the tree. No one spoke to Abeni anymore. She had become a warning, a lesson in disobedience. The village thrived as if nothing had happened. The money trees shone brighter than ever, their notes crisp and fresh, as though they had drawn new life from Abeni's children. Markets overflowed with trade. Foreign merchants flocked to the bustling streets, marveling at the village's wealth, eager to exchange goods for the golden currency that never ran dry. The sacred tree stood tall, pulsing with unseen power. The people laughed, celebrated, and lived without guilt. But Abeni remained silent. Her body moved through the days, but her spirit was absent. She spoke to no one, her lips pressed together in a thin, unreadable line. She did not cry. She did not plead. She simply watched. And beneath her quietness, her anger grew, thick like vines strangling her heart. She would not forgive. She would not let it go. She would make them all pay. One night, when the sky was black as ink, Abeni wrapped herself in a tattered cloak and slipped away from the village. She walked for miles, her feet bruised and sore, moving through thick forests and shadowed paths. She did not stop. She had only one destination, the village of Izomo, home to the most feared native doctor in the land. The air grew heavy as she entered the village, the scent of burning herbs thick in the night. She found the native doctor sitting before a fire as deep as blood, his eyes sharp, his skin dark like stone. "You have come for destruction," he said before she even spoke. Abeni nodded. She dropped bundles of notes before him, golden currency from the money trees, proof that she had once been part of the prosperous village. The native doctor laughed, his voice low and chilling. "You give me the wealth of the spirits, and I give you the ruin of your enemies," he said. He reached into a clay pot and pulled out a small round black charm. "Take this charm. Spread it around the money trees, and they will wither." Abeni clutched the charm tightly. The native doctor watched her. "But be warned," he murmured, leaning in close. "The spirits do not fall without a fight." Abeni did not care. She thanked him, turned, and walked into the darkness, carrying the seed of destruction back to her village. The following night, Abeni moved like a shadow, sneaking around the towering money trees. She sprinkled the powder charm, watching as it sank into the soil. Her breath was steady. Her hands were sure. "Let them rot," she whispered. "Let them suffer." But her luck ran dry. A hand grabbed her wrist. She spun and found herself surrounded. Villagers had caught her. One man held up a torch, its golden light illuminating her face. Gasps. Shouts. More people came. Within moments, the whole village had gathered. They stared at Abeni with disgust and fury, their eyes burning with judgment. A woman stepped forward, spitting at her feet. "You wicked woman," she hissed. So you want to destroy the trees that bring us wealth? You want to ruin everything because you lost your children. The crowd murmured, some in anger, some in curiosity. Another man pointed a sharp finger at her. When we sacrificed our own children, you never complained. He roared. You bought fine clothes. You ate the food. You took the money tree's gifts without shame. But when it was your turn, you decided to play smart. Another cried. You lost your children out of your own stupidity and greediness. Ebony stood still, her face blank. She did not argue. She did not beg. She did not even blink. She simply waited. The villagers had made up their minds. Their voices rose in angry chants. Banish her. Cast her out. Leave our village before you bring curses upon us. They grabbed leaves, raised their fists, and marched toward her, singing songs of mockery and shame. By morning, she was gone. Chased out of her home, sent into the world with nothing. She walked for days, her feet blistered, her stomach empty, her heart darkened by defeat. She passed through forests, through endless stretches of wilderness, through places where no soul dared to live. She had no plan. She had no strength. She was a woman abandoned by her people, stripped of everything, cast into nothingness. And then, her vision blurred. Her knees buckled. She collapsed. When Ebony opened her eyes, she was not on the ground. She was on water. The steady rocking of a canoe sent waves through her aching body. Confusion rose in her chest. Her breath hitched. She turned her head and saw some women, their heads covered in white cloth, their robes simple, their faces calm and kind. One of them leaned forward. You are safe, she said. Ebony's throat tightened. Who are you? She croaked. We are missionary sisters, the woman replied. We travel across villages, preaching the word, helping those who have lost their way. Ebony's heartbeat quickened. She sat up suddenly, panicked. Where are you taking me? The sisters exchanged glances. To the village of the rising sun, one of them said. A place where the spirits do not rule. Where children are safe, Ebony froze. A world without spirits. A world where children did not disappear. She stared at the rippling water beneath her, at the steady motion of the canoe. For the first time in a long time, she felt something strange. Hope. But was it real? Would she find peace? Or was this just another illusion in her long, painful journey? As the canoe floated forward, carrying her to a new fate, Ebony closed her eyes and waited. Ebony arrived at the village of the rising sun feeling empty, lost, unsure of what awaited her. She expected more pain, more disappointment. But what she saw shocked her. The village was peaceful, not because of wealth or spirits, but because of something else entirely. Everywhere she turned, she saw women in white robes, holding books and speaking with warmth. Children sat around, listening eagerly as the sisters spoke words of hope and wisdom. There was no sacred tree, no whispers of spirits, no golden leaves that demanded sacrifices. Instead, there was prayer, kindness, and faith. Ebony felt out of place, her heart still heavy with grief and anger. The sisters welcomed her with open arms. They washed the dirt off her body, gave her fresh clothes, and placed a warm plate of food before her. For the first time in weeks, Ebony ate without fear. She told them her story, the village, the money trees, the sacrifice of her children, her banishment. The sisters listened without judgment, their eyes full of understanding. They did not mock her or blame her. Instead, they shared verses from their holy book, reminding her of hope, love, and redemption. You have suffered, one sister said gently. But suffering does not have to define you forever. Ebony felt something stir inside her, a strange feeling she had long forgotten. Peace. She had spent so much time planning revenge, drowning in anger. But now, for the first time in a long while, she felt something else. The sisters spoke to her about God, about salvation, about living a life without hatred and darkness. And slowly, Ebony opened her heart. She was baptized, choosing to let go of her past and begin again. Months passed, and Ebony changed. She no longer woke with thoughts of hatred and revenge. She wanted more, not for herself, but for her people. They must see the light, she said to the sisters one day. They must know God. They must be free. The sisters agreed, and so, Ebony prepared for her final journey. With the missionary sisters by her side, Ebony set off for her old village. They traveled days by canoe, then continued on foot, crossing forests and streams. When they finally arrived, Ebony felt her heart pound. The village looked the same, the money tree still stood tall, their notes fresh and crisp, the sacred tree looming in power. But Ebony knew something had to change. The sisters began praying at the entrance of the village. They sang songs of praise, calling on God to break the hold of evil. At first, nothing happened. But then, the money trees began shaking violently, their branches trembling. Suddenly, bundles of notes fell to the ground, useless, lifeless. The villagers gathered, eyes wide in shock. Some grew angry, shouting, trying to fight. But before they could act, an unseen force struck them, and they collapsed to the ground, unable to move. The sisters continued praying, and the money trees began to vanish one by one, their once powerful presence fading into nothingness. Gasps filled the air. Then came the final miracle, the sacred tree, the one that had swallowed their children, shuddered. It groaned, its bark cracking open, spilling golden sap onto the soil. And then, one by one, the children walked out, alive and unharmed. The villagers cried out in shock, many dropping to their knees. Their sons and daughters had not died, they had been trapped inside the tree. Their blood and energy fueling its power, keeping the money fresh. But now, God had saved them. Ebony collapsed in tears, clutching her children. "You are alive," she sobbed, holding them close. "You are alive." She turned to the sisters, eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. The villagers, once greedy, once lost in their obsession with wealth, fell into deep realization they had given up their children for prosperity. They had worshipped a tree, ignoring the pain it caused. But now, they saw the truth. One by one, they gave their lives to God, turning away from their old ways, embracing faith instead of sacrifice. Ebony no longer lived in hatred. She no longer dreamed of revenge. She now had a purpose, to guide, to teach, to help her people stay in the light. The village of the golden leaves was no longer a place of sacrifice and greed. It had become a place of faith and redemption, and Ebony, once broken, once lost, had become whole again. This story teaches us some powerful lessons about life, choices, and redemption. Greed can lead to destruction. The villagers prioritized wealth over human life, sacrificing their own children for prosperity. But in the end, the truth was revealed, and the greed that once sustained them fell apart. Anger and revenge do not heal the heart. Ebony was consumed by rage, plotting destruction against the village that wronged her. But revenge did not bring her peace, it only pushed her further into pain. Faith and redemption bring true freedom. Ebony found hope again when she surrendered her pain, embraced faith, and allowed herself to heal. She learned that true freedom comes not from destruction, but from letting go. Evil practices must be challenged. The missionary sisters stood against dark traditions, freeing the village from spiritual bondage. Their courage shows us that standing up for what is right can change lives. No one is beyond saving. Ebony was broken, lost, and defeated, but she found redemption. No matter how deep our suffering, there is always a way forward. Thank you for watching this powerful story. We hope it touched your heart and made you reflect on the deeper lessons of life. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about the themes, the characters, and the emotions this story brought up. And don't forget to share this story with your friends and loved ones. Spread the word, because good stories deserve to be heard. Make sure to like and subscribe for more fascinating tales from this channel. You can find us on all platforms at Delia Storytime. Until next time, bye for now.